Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated. Today's episode is David Broza. No, I haven't. I'm just discovering your universe, which is incredible.
Oh, yeah? Everything is incredible. We're all incredible.
Everything, I don't know. Then nothing is. Then we're back to nothing is incredible.
Back to nothing is where it's headed. We're headed that way, man.
No, I mean, but not everybody gets a box of poems from Townes Van Zandt and says, hey, I want you to put the music. I mean,
true, and it's happened.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're all incredible and we're all special, but some of us get boxes of poems from Townes Van Zandt. Some of us don't.
Nobody understands it. I don't either. But
well, I understand it. I feel like right away. Maybe it's because I am just discovering you, and he only just discovered you, right? That one gig.
That one gig. 3 years before he died.
What was the story?
Well, the whole gig started on a hilltop in Edmonton, the festival there in Canada. And
what year was this?
94.
By the way, this is David Broza.
Hey, Joseph.
Nice to see you.
Joseph Arthur. I love the name Arthur. It's my dad's name.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's a good thing when I hear the name and I can say it. It's fantastic. But so I was playing in a concert in Edmonton festival, huge festival. I was in a tiny little place on the field on a hilltop, and then it sounds like almost like an illusion. This older guy walks up. And he introduces himself as David Amram. And David Amram is like, how can I say it, iconic figure in the art world in America. And you may not have heard of him. Right?
David.
Admit you haven't heard of David Amram.
Yeah, I have no problem admitting ignorance.
So that guy, he
relish in it.
But if we're part of the universe, he owns the universe.
Oh, okay.
So David Amram is the guy who started the Beat Generation. He's the first beatnik.
Really?
And he's the guy who got Jack Kerouac.
How come I haven't heard of him?
There you go, because you haven't met me.
Oh.
This is why we're meeting.
This is where your world
to widen up, brighten your days and widen your contacts.
I had a couple of theories of why we're meeting.
But you got to meet David Amram. You got to have him here.
Okay.
He's got to be 87 or so.
Wow.
The most amazing, like vitality like nobody has. And anyway, he walks up that hill, and he says, "What do you call it? Pops." Hey, Pops.
He calls you Pops?
He calls everybody Pops. Hey, Pops. Like bro, right?
Like Poppy. We call each other Poppy.
Hey, because bro, you know? So I said, yeah, I'm David Amram. I want you to meet an artist by the name of Townes Van Zandt.
Wow.
The name itself doesn't sound like it's you can't say it in one phrase.
Right.
So
had you never heard of Townes before? Or had you?
I knew his songs, but I didn't know it was him.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So, fine. So let's do it. And I just keep rolling, and then we establish a friendship. We exchange contacts, and before I know it, we have a date in Houston, Texas, at a place called the Main Street Theater. It's organized by Linda Lowe, who's a great singer-songwriter from the area, and real kind of a country musician, country western storyteller. And they put together this show where each of us sings a song in a round.
Okay.
And it's Townes and me. And basically, they're setting me and Townes up. They're not. They don't care if they don't sing a song.
Oh.
Because David Amram is a scatter. He scats.
Oh, okay.
So, and he's worked with Thelonious Monk. He's worked with Dizzy Gillespie. With you name it, everybody. He's like the conductor of West Side Story under Leonard Bernstein. The man has walked the history of music and rock and roll. He kind of taught Bob Dylan tricks about songwriting when Bob Dylan was just starting in 1961 or 62. Yeah. So he's been everywhere. He's like Forrest Gump.
He's like Zelig.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah.
Zelig.
Yeah.
He's Forrest Gump. He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything. And he conducts. He ends up conducting my symphonic suite, which I'd never thought I'd write one. But when I meet him, I say, why not?
That's incredible when you meet people that inspire.
And I bring him to Israel to conduct. So he puts me together with Townes, and in that meeting that we have in 1994 at the theater, Main Street Theater in Houston, I get to sing my song. So I don't beg forgiveness for anything. I just take a guitar and play what's on my heart.
What do you mean you don't beg forgiveness?
I do what I do, and I don't ask anybody to forgive me for abusing their space or maybe hitting him in the wrong note.
Oh, you're confident?
No, I'm not apologetic.
You're not?
When I perform.
You're not?
When I perform.
In every other place?
Afterward, in other places, probably am.
Maybe.
I'm sorry if I bothered you. I'm sorry. So, being as non-apologetic, I open up with the blues in Hebrew.
Uh-huh.
And Townes knows nothing about me. I know a little bit about him.
Yeah.
So he just jumps out of his seat like, what the hell is that? I said, it's a blues in Hebrew. Says, who are you? So I tell him who I am. And he sings a song. And then it's my turn. And I sing a song in Spanish.
What did he sing?
I think it was Dollar Bill Blues or something.
And then you switch up to Spanish?
It's Spanish. I just want the audience to get as much of me as they can in 3 or 4 songs. I'm not going to have... Ends up to be a 4-hour show.
Right.
Like we're ping-ponging one against the other.
And
then I do a song in English.
That's
of an American
crazy
poetry.
to go up against Townes like that. I mean...
It was beautiful. But David Amram had it in his mind when he saw me on that hill. He saw the whole thing. He actually was able to put it together.
Yeah.
And I bless him for that.
In '94, you're an established musician who's been playing for 20 years. So you're not intimidated by Townes, or you're just doing your thing.
First, I'm doing my thing. I started playing in '77 professionally, and when '94, yeah, you're right. It's about 20 years. Damn. But I'm established in Israel. I'm not established outside of Israel. Nobody knows me.
But you weren't intimidated by Townes?
I'm always intimidated, but it's more about how can I perform well enough to justify taking 5 minutes of your time. I better be really, really on top of it and like fully concentrated, ready to like take no prisoners.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'm not apologetic. I just do my thing. I may be over the top. I may be, bypassing my goals and end up in an empty field instead of right in the field where everybody is, like overshooting my
your station. Overshooting.
I just want to enjoy what I'm doing, so I got to play my
best. Make
best.
an album called Overshooting the Stations.
There we go. It'll be a
triple album.
Triple album with a 1-string guitar. Just do that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Entertain me now.
Oh, yeah, a 1-string guitar and a loop machine.
So that's it. So Townes gives me his phone number and says, call me. I also have poetry. Because I do poems by Israeli poets, by Federico Garcia Lorca, Spanish, by Elizabeth Bishop that night. Elizabeth Bishop, a very established...
You put Lorca poems to music?
I actually, sometimes, yeah. And
that's awesome. That was a big Leonard Cohen inspiration.
Well, we were on the same album. We wrote the same music. It was 50 years to Lorca's death.
Oh, really?
And I was one of the
Leonard
artists.
Cohen?
Yeah.
Nice.
And Chico Buarque and Paco de Lucia. Yeah, a lot of artists.
Wow.
Yeah, he did his the waltz, the Vienna. I did one in Hebrew. Translated him to Hebrew. I work with poets, so I don't
translate to Hebrew, huh?
In this case, yeah, we translated with a friend of mine, Jonathan Geffen, who's an incredible Spanish poet, Israeli poet.
Wow.
And I give him the notion, word by word, we go through the whole thing, and then he rewrites it. It's a beautiful...
Okay, thanks.
We've done a lot of work like that.
Yeah.
So Townes got very, very excited. And then we try to meet. We met again at in a folk festival, in Kerrville Folk Festival. You know Kerrville Folk Festival?
Kerrville Folk... No, I don't know.
You don't? Oh,
no.
You'd love it.
I would love
Kerrville Folk Festival.
Somebody needs to book me.
It's easy. Let's say Kerrville Folk Festival is probably the longest standing festival in America. It's for over 40 years. Everybody's played there, including Dylan. I mean, everybody's played. But the thing is, you play in front of an audience, like 6,000 people come. Everybody camps out, and after that, you go from one campfire to another. and you play at the campfires, and everybody pulls out their instruments and jam with you.
That's great.
So everybody's jamming, and me and Townes, we did that at one point, and Peter Yarrow, remember Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul, and Mary?
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah. He's one of the founders.
Wow.
For me, it was a blast because it gets me to see for the first time folk music, from American folk music, from the core, from where it comes out of. It's those people who are, some car mechanics and bankers and doctors and teachers, and their passion is writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they play all the time.
Yeah.
That's the last time I saw Townes.
It was the one and only time, right? Or
no, the one time I saw it in the Main Street Theater.
Oh, okay.
And then they staged us together, me, Townes, and Peter Yarrow, on a smaller stage. But we didn't talk again. And then
you never called him. He gave you his number, but you never.
I think I tried. It was hard to reach him.
Yeah.
I know I tried. And then Linda Lowe from Houston, Texas, calls me the day after he died. Or on the day that he died, January 1st, 1997, and he says, Townes died. But she says, but the eerie thing about it is that about 3 weeks ago, he called me. He called her and said, would you please make sure or find a way for David Broza to get my poems? I put them in a shoebox. Make sure he gets them. Like he's got a premonition. This is like 3 weeks or maybe 2 weeks before he died.
How did he die?
Consumption of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, okay, right. So it was.
He was already. I think his body was already giving in.
So he knew it was imminent, maybe.
He couldn't have known.
Or he didn't know. Okay.
But sometimes when you're headed in a one-way street, you're not looking for real help. Although he might have tried to get a hospital. It wouldn't have helped anyway.
Right.
His body was shot. So anyway, I was shocked at that. But it wasn't so simple. So that's a long story. That's when the long story begins.
Keep
that's
going.
A great.
Then how
that's
do you
a great
get this
line. That's when the long story begins.
Yeah, this was the short introduction.
I love that. Yeah.
3 days later.
Well, let's
get to the story.
We got time. We're ready for long stories.
Well, so I do what I have to do. I get in touch with his widow or divorced widow, which, oddly enough, he ends up dying in her house. That's where he passed out. And I call her. She would have knowledge of where these poems are, and she's coming out to New York City for kind of a memorial for him at the Bottom Line, which was a great club at the time.
I remember the Bottom Line. In fact, the only time I ever did a Songs in the Round was at the Bottom Line. But anyway,
they had Songs in the Round at the Bottom Line.
Yeah, I did one with Citizen Cope and Suzanne Vega and.
Really?
Yeah, I was there.
I used to do the bitter end ones.
Yeah, the bitter end. I played there too. But
that's when they had the singers in the round.
I didn't do the singers.
Writers in the round.
But anyway, that's a diversion. Keep going. So
and I used to play there too at the Bottom Line. But she was doing a memorial for him.
At the Bottom
so
Line.
she said, "I'll come to New York. Let's meet." We met. She didn't know me from anybody, and she said, "I know that this is what he wanted, but would you consider letting me show it first to like Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris?" And I said, "Hey, you kidding? Of course. It's like these are big names, and you do the rounds.
Yeah.
And if they don't want it, great. And if they want, give me what's left.
Right.
And let's see what happens." And I let it go for 8 years.
8 years?
That's the long story.
Damn. 8 years. I thought it was like next week she's getting back to you.
No. I think I get
8 years.
My attitude is like, all right, it'll happen when it has to happen.
Yeah.
And you'll get to it when it's right. So one day, 8 years later.
8 years.
Well, I'm just.
Did it cross your mind during those 8 years?
Well, I died a few times during those 8 years.
Yeah.
And came back.
How many? It's like 4 resurrections by then. It's like, who are you even? Are you the same Are you the same David Broza then?
Probably not.
Probably not. But that might be a good thing.
I have no clue. And so it was 8 years later, I'm playing in Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, damn, this is where I met Townes. Just pops into my head.
Right.
See, you don't want to be obsessed with something.
Right.
This could become an obsessive thought in your mind that constantly gets to you. When am I getting to these poems or whatever?
Right.
So you don't want to. It's like something I've learned, I guess, from a very young age. Like, if you can't get it right now, you'll get it when it's time, and just be busy.
And yeah, you probably have so many other projects you're
Tons,
thinking
yeah.
about all the time anyway. So.
Right.
Right.
So I call her and I say, she's in Nashville. So I, remember me? I'm David Broza. She says, sure, I remember you. And I've been asking about you in Nashville. And you got lots of friends here. I said, I don't know, but probably Jewish guys or Israelis. I don't have many from the music industry, a few, but not many. So, so what happened with the song? She says, just like you said, nothing. Because I predicted that probably it would be hard for anybody to touch. I didn't see the poems. But I work with poetry all my career. That's the thing about my music writings. I write the song, music to poems, 90% of the time.
Really?
Yeah. So it started in Israel.
So it's words first, basically.
Yeah.
The words inspire the music
Totally.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. That's not you. That's atypical, I'd say.
Here in the States,
Yeah.
I would say it's atypical. But in Israel, for sure, it's typical. In Spain, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Other countries, I don't know. But
That's cool.
because I come from Israel, but I lived in Spain too, and I kind of. So I say to her, so I can come. I'm in Houston. I can come over to Nashville tomorrow and pick them up. She says, you don't have to. Give me your email address. I'll copy them. I'll scan them and I'll send them to you. I said,
Right.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to wait. Let's hope it happens.
8 years
sure-
go by again. Another 8 years.
No, a couple of weeks went by, and she sent them to me.
Couple of weeks.
You have
Come
to buy
on,
a
it's
scanner.
it's an email.
Learn how to use it.
At that,
Call tech support.
at that point, I didn't really care.
Hysterical, dude.
It didn't matter. Actually, I think I started getting nervous then. What's going to happen if I receive them and I don't like them?
Oh,
Were they handwritten or typed?
Typed.
Okay.
interesting.
So there we go. And then,
And were they fantastic? What
yeah, they're amazing.
How many
And
did she send?
were they lyrics or
25
poems?
poems.
Oh,
Well, he doesn't write in a heavy poetic manner, but
they rhymed and stuff, or
No.
no.
no, not necessarily. So it took another 4 years because I was doing a lot of projects. At the time, I was doing something close to between 250 and 300 shows a year all
Wow.
over the world. I mean, mostly in Israel. I was doing 250 shows in Israel a year.
Damn.
And the rest of the days, which is another 100 days left, I was trotting all over the place. So for me, it doesn't matter. If, I'm going to get those poems. I'll take them with me on the road, and I'll find time.
Yeah.
So it took another 4 years. Then I had to find a label that would want to back this kind of thing. Nobody wanted. And I said, okay, I'm just going to do it myself. So I found backing, and we actually filmed the whole thing. Which I have a film of the initial meeting I had with Townes, the 4-hour show. I have a video of it, which is kind of spooky video because it's not really well filmed. We didn't have a hood in those days.
Yeah.
So it's spooky. It looks like a ghostly thing, which actually is befitting to the story.
Yeah.
It's kind of ghosty
Yeah.
vibe to it. So
Goes with Townes.
it goes with Townes.
Yeah.
The Ghost of Townes.
It's like
That's
when
a good. That's a good title.
You're the Ghost of Townes.
Yeah. Oh, Townes
Yeah.
is Ghost.
Yeah. I like the Ghost of Townes.
The Ghost of Townes.
It's like when you go to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, there's like maybe it's a photo of him, and it's like, in the distance, this figure, and it's kind of cool when there's all that mystery
Right.
around things. Nowadays, there's no mystery,
Well,
but that's fine.
You can create mystery. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Things don't have to be literal.
Right,
You think they do, but they don't.
right.
Why? Well, I mean,
What do you mean by that?
you own the means to project images
Yeah.
of yourself or your things,
Right.
and so you can create a mysterious
Vibe.
vibe about you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be here. That's me this morning.
Yeah.
It can be that's me. A shaky picture. I don't know. You can make.
Oh, that's true.
You're gonna create if you're really into that.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Exactly.
You
About
do. You
me.
have Helium G. That's you creating mystery and
Oh,
doing
is it?
something different.
Oh, okay.
You do? You create a mystery?
Well, I have. There's a character I made up on. It's a guru character that it spades up his voice, and so it's kind of comical.
Nice.
called Helium G, Helium Guru.
I like that.
So it talks
gotta
in a
check it
high
out.
voice, yeah.
And you have it on what, Instagram?
On Instagram,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I haven't posted any on about him lately, but yeah, it's just a alter ego.
Well, those can, they don't have to.
Yeah.
They don't disturb your day-to-day life, as you go biking through New York City.
Nah, exactly.
Do you bike with your guitar on your back too?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Do you bike?
If I have to,
Yeah.
I used to. Everybody did,
Yeah.
But I don't. Not today. I don't want to. I'm afraid it too much tension on my arms,
Huh.
and I play a lot, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything that will
Interfere.
build too much of a muscle.
Yeah.
Gotta have the right, I don't know if I'm right. I'm playing too much anyway.
Really?
I think.
You play too much? How can you play
Lately,
too
I've been
much?
playing so many hours, like
Really?
hours and hours every day,
wish
practicing.
I wish I was like that.
Well, I gave myself a challenge. Are we still with Townes?
Yeah, let's keep. I mean, yeah,
Just
we could
finish
stay.
the Townes thing.
We
You
could
found a
finish.
label.
No, so I did. No, I didn't. Did I find? Yeah,
You
actually,
said you found,
I
you
ended.
found backing.
No, I found backing. Then I found a label, S-Curve Records, with Steve Greenberg. Great guy.
So you found a label that somebody wanted to do it.
I funded it.
Oh, you funded
I
it.
own the masters, but
Okay.
I sold the distribution rights, and I got a great manager to manage me at the time, Danny Goldberg.
I was managed by him.
Yeah,
Yeah, for a little while.
yeah.
I
so
like Danny.
Danny's great.
Yeah,
So Danny
yeah.
was managing.
We should get Danny on this podcast.
Totally.
actually.
He's got his own podcast.
Yeah. Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But you should get him because he's the man.
Competition.
Yeah.
No, but he's
I'm joking. Yeah.
He's the real intellectual, and
He's
know
an
that.
interesting.
he knows
cat.
music. He loves music
Yeah.
passionately. He loves musicians.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we stopped
and
working.
he hates the establishment.
We
so-
stopped working together, but it was like copacetic. It was like, hey, let's not work together. Okay, but we're still friends. Like it was like
I know.
right away. It
Yeah,
was
you
like
might-
no big deal.
Yeah, we also did that. We had a spell of a couple of years, but he was managing Steve Earle.
right.
Still is.
You're connected with Steve.
Well, through Danny.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But the thing is, when I told Danny what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
because Danny knew of me because of
And Steve Earle's an obsessive Townes Van Zandt.
absolutely. So the story is that
fan,
so
mentor.
Danny knows of me because in Israel, I'm very known in Israel, and I'm also very active on social issues and pro-peace issues and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he heard about my stuff. So when he met me, he wanted to find out what I'm up to.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously my first thing was, hey, I've just finished. I think it was just. I'm just recording now the Townes Van Zandt project,
Mm-hmm.
which I also filmed. And something
Where
happened
did you record it?
here in the city.
In the city. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What studio?
It was called Manhattan Beach.
Oh, okay.
It was owned by a cousin of mine.
Hope
Great
you-
studio.
I hope you got a bro rate.
I probably did.
Friends and family.
No, totally. Family. No
I
offense.
mean, come on, family rate.
No, totally. I
Yeah.
know I did.
That's a higher rate.
I know I did, but it was a great studio. It's an old Neve studio. It was
Oh,
great.
great. Old Neve, huh?
It was fantastic.
Nice.
And this is 2009. That's
And was the
10 years
album,
ago.
the nature of the album, solo acoustic singing,
no,
or did
I
you
took-
you took a band?
Yeah, so what happened is I'm having the conversation with Danny, and Danny suddenly registers what I'm doing, and he says, "Do you have time for lunch tomorrow?" I say, "Sure." He wants me to meet Steve Earle, and so we meet Steve, and Steve was nobody had heard of these poems, so he was, and I waited 8 years, and this is 4 years later, so it's 12 years, still hasn't heard about it. So he was very, moved by the fact that there are poems, and then how come he didn't get to see him? I felt that there was.
Jealousy?
Not jealousy. It was like I love. There's a real love for Townes. It's out of
And just probably wanting to be involved.
in any sense. I would. As a matter of fact,
Which
had I
is
known,
fine.
I would have had him involved. Maybe write some melodies or produce it with me.
Well, yeah,
It'd be
like
great.
maybe a collaboration.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, why
anyway,
not?
that was. So I took.
And why didn't that happen then anyway?
I was already in production.
Oh, you were already
and I
deep
took
in.
a guy
Okay.
who's fantastic, G. Smith.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
band.
so G, I asked him to produce it. So he brought in the band, and we did a fantastic. We recorded it and had a fantastic time, and put out a beautiful album. Really beautiful, very
What's
intimate.
it called?
Night Dawn, the unpublished poetry of Townes Van Zandt.
Beautiful.
It's cool.
Night Dawn is such a great title.
It's the title. Yeah, it's a song.
Is that one of his poems? That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. And then I took G.
I love that. That's great.
And then I took G to play Night Dawn with me, the whole album.
What
at
a
the top
beautiful
of,
title.
Of Masada in the desert, back in Israel.
Wow.
So we played from like 3 a.m. till the sun comes up, and you see Night Dawn.
Oh my God.
Too good.
That's too good,
Yeah,
man. You're
I
too
know.
much of a poet.
But it's still in the can. It's still waiting to be edited. So I'm looking to find a
You
backer.
mean that film
The
or
film,
the whole?
yeah.
No, the album's out. Oh.
The album is out, but I want
Been
to
out.
I want to put the film out of the process of the making, and since we filmed everything, then I filmed everything in Israel. Then we filmed stuff at the. I took G. Smith and we played the whole album at the Main Street Theater where I met Townes, and we have the original footage of the Townes and me meeting.
Fantastic.
It could be beautiful.
It's a documentary.
Yeah.
I got an editor for you. This guy.
Yeah, I know.
This guy's
I
genius.
didn't know you had video of all that. And it was
Yeah,
just
you want to
waiting
get
to
you
be
want to
edited.
have the 80 hours we have, and you can shuffle through it and see.
I mean,
That's
he's
your
busy
MO. You film. He films everything.
I film-
everything you do. I
I
didn't
do
know
film
you,
a-
it went that far back with you.
Yeah, I filmed for years. I never did anything with it until we did East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem. But anyway, so that was the album. Put it out. Did a few gigs, and I went on and continued with other projects.
How long ago did that come out?
It's 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So quite a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is quite a while ago today.
Yeah.
If it came out yesterday, is it happening? If not, we're doing the next thing.
Yeah.
So everything is quite a while ago. And stuff that was 10 years ago is not quite a while ago.
I
'Cause
know.
In those days,
I was about to just say that everything's quite a while ago, except if it's 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Then it's yesterday
That's
again.
it, exactly.
No, it's true though.
True.
It's actually.
Yes, yeah.
It's weird.
Those things that were done
it's so
10 years and
weirdly
20 and 30
true.
years ago still stay.
Yeah.
It's the digital age that we don't know what's
Yeah.
left, what's going to be left of the stuff that's coming
Yeah.
out
That's
on
so
a daily basis.
funny.
That's why it's a good thing you're riding on a bicycle.
Oh man, I'm always moving. It's a bike or it's yoga or it's running. I ran 5 miles today.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, that's how I deal with life.
Yeah, I work out.
But
I,
it's also for me, it's just a meditation. It's just it's like for me, it's about metacognition and not identifying with thought forms. I mean, if I wake up in the morning, of course, I just identify as my thoughts, and I think most people stay in that place all day long, identifying themselves as their thoughts. And it's like I work hard to get out of that. So I put on Ho'oponopono prayer or mantra, and I'll go on an hour run, and I'll just be in that meditation thing. So I'm like disidentifying with thoughts and sort of identifying as a witness and working that as a muscle. And then I can frame the whole rest of my day like that. And then I come back into identifying as thoughts. But
then
at least I'm practicing getting out of that
Right.
every day, like for a significant period of time.
so what's your writing process when you write songs?
Oh man,
Is it a discipline or it's
no, it's just it happens I
Really?
like I'll go months without writing anything and not caring about
then-
it.
oh, really?
And then I'll like go in, and then all of a sudden I'll write like 40 songs. You know what I mean? Like
what happens if you would do it all year round?
I don't know.
It'd be
I'm not
400 songs.
I'm not interested in it in doing it all the time.
Really? What do
Yeah.
you do? What do you do other than that?
I'm like I work on just like you know a lot of the things I'm focusing on now is like in terms of mental health and like overcoming a lot of trauma from MPD abuse and thinking about things like that and making videos and stuff like that. And
Okay, so you're
and
creating all the time.
creating all the time, but like also thinking about ways of which I can sort of expand a lot of these things I've learned about in healing. I'm interested in healing and like and that kind of thing as much as I am in music, you know. But then I'm still in love with music and stuff like that.
How long have you
But,
been performing?
I got signed to Peter Gabriel's label in like 1995.
Okay.
And so I've been doing it professionally since then, you know, as my primary profession.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, a long time. What about you?
Well, longer, I guess.
Longer?
Everything is long.
Everything. So shorter, basically.
I've been recording for 40-something years, 41 years.
Wow.
Since I was 22. I'm 63.
Wow, okay.
Doing it for a long time.
Man, music keeps people young, I think, don't you? Like that. Like,
Yeah, depends on how you take care of yourself. You know? But you're constantly sharp because you got to be better than you were yesterday every day.
Yeah.
And that can kill me too.
Yeah. What do you mean?
No, it just makes you constantly challenge yourself.
And yeah.
It's interesting that there are times when I think I'm done. I can't find anything that interests me or no challenge anymore.
But that's okay. Like, it's okay to take long breaks.
Yes, I take a long shower.
Yeah. Cold shower, I hope.
I don't want to suffer.
I'm just kidding.
I'm already having a hard time, living with the thought that maybe I'm done.
You're not done.
No, exactly. So it's a long shower, and then...
So it's a hot shower.
Whatever it is. Feel good. I work out every day, so I get that zone that you're in.
Yeah.
You're talking about that. I call it contemplation. It's not it's not even meditative. It's contemplative. It's something I learned very young.
But I try to definitely pull myself out of my thoughts. Like I put on mantras and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So I'm not sitting there thinking incessantly. You know what I mean? Because thinking sometimes is fine. Like thinking in its place is fine.
You're right. Meditation, you can actually...
you push yourself beyond that. And your mind will buck and kick because it's like, no, I want to be who you think you are. You know?
Yeah.
But once you just realize that you can be the witness of the mind, and then the witness of the mind is eternal. And so you're already practicing being dead. I feel like it's like practicing being dead. Because once I'm dead...
Why practice? When you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah, but once I'm dead, I'll be that all the time anyway. I'll just be consciousness. So it's like, well, yeah, I don't know, but it's a theory.
No,
you lost me there.
You can theorize.
It's fun to theorize.
No, that's fine.
Drifting out of that.
Are you following this?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So,
but Joe, you also paint year-round, right? That's something you do all the time. And you don't.
I don't do anything all the time though.
Okay.
No, arts and crafts to me are they come in phases, and I wouldn't know what to do. Like if I wrote 400 songs, there would just be 400 songs on my laptop then, because it's so hard to put out projects. Like I'm just putting out an album now. Actually, the first single came out on Spotify today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Called Comeback World. And it's a 10-song album, and I have another whole album already in the can past that. And then an album with Peter Buck. I'm in a band with him called Arthur Buck.
Oh, wow.
And that one's done, our second album. So it's like they're already in line. So what am I going to do? I feel like, and I'm writing with this other guy, stuff like that. I write a lot, I guess, but it's not all the time. And it's already backed up. So it's like, imagine if I wrote all the time, it'd be like,
I hear you.
It'd be frustrating.
Yeah.
So I like spreading it around, you know what I mean? I feel like that almost benefits things, because then when you come back to projects, there's seemingly more energy to
But sometimes when you write, you meet yourself. Let's say you write every day. Every day there's an instant that you meet yourself in a junction that you haven't been to before.
Yeah.
By practicing.
You meet yourself in a junction that you haven't been before. Okay.
Yeah, because you're constantly creating. By creating, you're bringing out things that did not exist a minute ago.
That's true.
So those are pointers that you put, and sometimes, so if you don't do that, you don't get to that place.
That's true.
So when you get to that place, it's not necessarily having 400 songs that you've written.
Right, you're right.
Have all these ideas that you can actually
Yeah.
take out and edit into another part and connect it with another junction.
That's true.
And then you create the masterpiece or the one piece.
Yeah.
You understand? It's like,
That's true.
I'm doing.
But I would say but to that. Like sometimes I also think like the some of the best songs happen in these like 15-minute like boom.
15 seconds. Doesn't.
You know what I mean? And like I also feel like when you're like In other words, like going on a run every day is all towards that 15-second boom.
Yeah, but that 15-second doesn't happen exactly when you want it to happen. It's
Yeah.
got to happen within a period, a moment, a time that you allot for
Yeah.
whatever it is, for
Yeah.
just chilling out and thinking about the music. I don't think when you write, you actually sit playing all the time writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just focusing
Focusing.
on
Yeah.
that moment. I don't know. To me, it seems like it's a disciplinary thing.
Yeah.
I don't just sit and suddenly write.
Yeah.
I know I sit 7 o'clock in the morning. First thing I open my eyes before I get into a workout, take out my guitar. The first notes that come, wow.
Really, and you play every day like that?
Especially when I'm writing, I play every day like that.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, I wait until I finish my workout, relax myself, and like 11 o'clock, I start playing till the end of the day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, end of the day for me is like dinner, like 6. So.
Yeah, but still, that's like
Yeah, my wife.
you're dedicated.
My wife is it's funny. She walks out at like
Commitment.
9 o'clock to work, and I'm working on a phrase. Look at that. And then she comes back at like 6 and says, "You still doing it? Still on the Yeah, I haven't. I don't know where it's headed to. I'm trying to find out where it's going, or I'm trying to perfect it, or
That's incredible.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I can understand why people would go into drugs to get away from it, because you can't. It chases you.
Huh.
It's hard to be focused all the time and conscious. Like I sometimes I feel like I'm passing out sometimes as I play, because
That's wild.
but the benefit is that when I get to play my stuff later, it manifests itself in the ability to project what you've written the piece, but now you've got to perform it, and the performance is that moment. It's not something you can repeat. Every time you repeat another performance, it's not a machine.
Yeah, I've watched you finger pick, and it's like, yeah, it is some next level.
Oh no,
type.
it's no level. It's just
Well, it is to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's like, because I finger pick, and I've gotten into obsessive finger picking playing. I've been there.
exactly. So you
But
know
I
it's-
don't live there, but I've been there. I've spent months there, and then I'm like, and then
or years. Yeah.
yeah, but like when I watched you finger pick, I was just like, oh my god, like his whole thing. He went beyond, like Neo in the Matrix. All of a sudden, when he can like dodge bullets, that's your finger picking.
Probably.
Like you're Neo in the Matrix with that shit. It's
I've
like
dodged
it's like,
bullets while playing.
Yeah,
I really did.
yeah.
Oh, when you played for troops?
Yeah, when you play in the front lines,
Wow.
you dodge bullets.
When did you do that?
All the time. You go back and forth from it. And whenever I live in Israel, so
Yeah, full time
part of the
or
time.
part
Well,
time?
I'm 10 days a month in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
As a rule, I perform there, and then I travel the world. I come here. Me and my wife, we have our home based in New York, really.
Yeah. Where in New York?
In
I mean,
Tribeca.
oh, really cool. I boxed down there
Yeah?
at Trinity
Where's that?
on where's it
Duane.
on? Duane. That's
Really?
right.
2 blocks.
Right,
Oh, I know it.
right across the street from Ehud's.
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, I love that place.
Wow.
That place saved my life.
I know it. I've never been inside. I
It's
go
great.
by
You
it.
should-
It's at the basement there, no?
Well,
is
it's
Lower
ground
Ground
level.
level, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how you would feel about boxing because of your hands.
No, I've done a lot of
But
in the past. It's an amazing workout.
You should come in there. You would have fun.
Yeah?
Oh man, if
I did it back in the 90s.
it's very similar
suddenly I
to
stopped.
playing guitar in terms of just the
Yeah, you don't box to kill somebody. You just box to for
the
for
sweet
art,
science, the sweet science,
for the martial
yeah.
art of it. Yeah,
The martial art, exactly,
I
and
love
just that repetition.
I love that.
Yeah, you would love it. You should. I'll introduce you to them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll give you some kind of discount.
Maybe I will. Discount.
Man, come on, you should. It's fun. I'm trying to get Ehud to come in and do it. He would love
Eventually, I'll
Look at that guy.
I mean,
He doesn't need any discount.
sit straight.
Give him the discount. He doesn't have to come though.
yeah,
That's the discount. That's the discount.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll introduce you, but you
Just
don't have
give
to
me the
come.
discount.
I'll discount. Yeah.
I'll pay it. I just won't show up.
Exactly. That's the discount.
Yes.
Since you're not showing up, we'll take less. We'll give you a 20% discount. You don't have to come.
For the days you're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can you go back to the Israel and the troops playing?
yeah,
for the
and you were
troops?
about to say something else too, like 10 minutes ago when I cut you off, but you probably don't remember, or do you?
10 minutes ago?
Yeah, 10 minutes ago. All right, well then we'll just go with Israel and
You
playing
cut
for
me
the-
off.
Well, or whatever. I veered the subject.
No, I
For a
say,
second.
we dodge bullets. But you said I'm playing as if you're dodging bullets, and I say I've dodged bullets, just because it's interesting. At some point, it was back the late '90s, beginning of 2000. I was living in Spain, and
Where in Spain?
in Madrid.
Okay.
And I was recording. I speak Spanish too because I spent my teenage years there as a kid.
Uh-huh.
So I went back to get back in touch with
How
the
many
language.
languages do you speak?
Three that I can actually, like, we converse now.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
so I went back to connect again with the culture and the language, and I started performing a lot. And you know how we develop our stage act and our performance as we go. You can learn from teachers. You can learn. You can be an actor or whatever. But until you stand in front of an audience, you don't know who you are actually as an actor. You don't know what you got to give. And same as a singer-songwriter. You stand in front of an audience, and suddenly the persona comes out because you got to communicate with all these people.
Yeah.
And you got to tell
and
your
the
story.
pressure galvanizes you into something.
It's that people freak out from it, but it's actually a concentrative moment where you are 100% committed to your art.
Yeah.
And if you're great at it, then people react in the same way. It doesn't mean it's not commercial. I'm talking about performing. And so I've started my whole career in Israel. And the culture of Israel is a culture of, sometimes it's you're living in a war zone, and sometimes you're living in times of peace, but very rarely. So that you're constantly challenged, your ability to relax and to find ways of avoiding falling into those harsh moments of intense news that keep on coming up. And we have news bulletins. We have bulletins every hour, but also
Right.
every half hour there's bulletins. Just
Yeah.
in case you missed the bad news half an hour ago, we'll just give it to you in just headlines. So people are constantly listening to the radio. So people till today are constantly, they don't understand it, but they're very high tension. So when you get on stage and perform for an audience, back then when I started my career, because I come from a more like Spanish guitar, I can chill out and play, but people won't listen because they're so charged. There's so much tension in the air that they walk in to see a theater. You gotta punch them right as you walk on stage and get them, knock them out, have them like focus on you for 2 hours or an hour and a half. Make sure they're with you so they don't have any of the thoughts that preoccupy them all day. And by the time the show is done, you take a bow, you leave, and they walk out saying, wow, we were just disconnected from everything for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and this guy actually mesmerized us and captivated us. That's the intention. So you walk in, I walk in as if I'm the one who's holding the machine gun. I'm actually pressing on the trigger. And I'd walk on stage, I remember in Spain, and do the same show as I always do. I shoot all my bullets in the first round, and then I reload and start shooting again. That's how I look at it. And I remember sitting with a critic, and one day we're having lunch, and he says, a very well-known Spanish critic, and he says to me, let me ask you, though, something. After a day's work, I come to see your show. It's like 8 o'clock at night. I've just finished, had a few drinks, maybe some dinner. I want to relax and see your show. And the next thing I know is I'm almost getting a heart attack. Why? And it dawned on me that the culture that I'm coming from doesn't necessarily communicate with other cultures.
Interesting.
Because these people want to come and relax and chill out and have a good time. And I'm walking thinking I've got to shake them first to get them concentrated and forget about the world. So I walk in with all my... I play hard, I bang, I play fast, dynamics are really high, then really low. Like I can explode in a second later and be in a complete mellow mode where they can actually listen to their thoughts and to their hearts. And it doesn't fit everybody. That's those guys from the Middle East. I told them to come. I'm dodging the bullets, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me
Dodging.
think of like the songs of war and songs of love.
Yeah.
Like the Spaniards,
Yeah,
Spaniards
exactly.
want songs of love, and where you're from, then you need songs of war.
Well, we don't want to talk about it, but we get it. We get it.
But that energy,
Yeah.
that energy.
So
That,
I've tried to
Yeah.
tone it down, but it seemed late because I was already doing it for like 20 years. How do you reteach yourself?
Yeah.
No, I'm intense, I guess, but not so hard. I can be a lot
A
softer.
dial of intensity is something I've grappled with myself in a very different realm than you, but on a personal level, just that like that intensity, like the dial of being super laid back versus being super like intense. And like I've been like I remember John Bryan one time told me, like, he said, "Oh yeah, I think you would be more effective if you dialed it back a notch," and he's like a genius producer, musician. So I did listen to him, and I did think about what he said years even later, and I understood what he meant.
Yeah, but
'Cause
when
I used to approach it in this very like rah, like and
yeah, but I actually play under fire, so I go to the front lines.
yeah,
I get sent out, or I volunteer to go, just because I think, as much as I'm a peacenik, and obviously I promote, I promote the idea, not the idea. I promote the reality that I wish for, which is that Israelis and Palestinians would actually put their guns down and learn to live together. And I believe there is a way of doing it. But with all of that,
I hope so.
yeah. But with all of that, in the meantime, there's a lot of difficult moments. So you have wars.
Yeah.
You have the Lebanon War, then the Second Lebanon War, and the in-between the wars. And people who are living in the front lines are under such duress and stress. They can't live a normal life. So you got to go up there and entertain them in bomb shelters, or when you're entertaining troops out in the field, literally within range of fire. So fire range. So you got to find a way also to captivate through your art their attention, and give them their heart a massage to soften them up a little bit, because people get really tough and they forget about humanity in those situations. So you got to bring it in. So that has basically been a side of me that has constantly kept me, I guess, helped mold my personality on stage in many ways.
In what kind of way? Like, when you're playing in front lines, would you be more tending to, like you said, you would need to remind them?
Oh, I constantly do this,
Oh, it's more that.
Yeah, it's like Lenny Bruce walking on stage and he's got to drop a bomb the first line he says,
Yeah.
because he might get arrested by the next one.
And what's that like playing in the front lines like that?
I guess I have the ability to shut off the where I'm at.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're smelling napalm in the morning,
Right.
or smelling, or being surrounded by military.
Do you feel like, is it faith that makes you able to be brave enough to do stuff like that?
I don't look at it as brave. I think it's the necessity to be there with others and see, look, if you're going to go through this, I'm going to go through this with you. It's a camaraderie, it's a brotherhood, it's a humanity. I mean, it's the same as going into jails and performing in front of, people who are behind bars, out of some kind of a little bit of a compassion to the human nature that can be evil, and not all of it is bad.
Yeah.
And it's part of me, I guess, just wanting to be there as a helping hand. And I live in a country, I grew up in a country, although my philosophy may be different than most of the people in my country. I believe that I have a place there and I need to fight for it, and I want to change it, so to change some of the reality. So you got to be part of it on both sides. You got to be able to meet the people who are not with you on the same thoughts, but are going through the same reality as you, and hold their hand for a second and tell them, listen, we're in this together. Whether you like what I'm saying, whether you like the way I'm thinking, at the end of the day, we're going to sing the same song. you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to relax and we're going to hope to have the same reality in which to live. And so you got to be part of it. You can't just dictate your thoughts, I think.
Has anything scary ever happened when you've been in that situation in terms
Lots.
of near bombs going
Yeah.
off or things like this, or like
A lot of it.
a lot of it?
It's funny. It's not funny. It's sad. It's bizarre.
Crazy.
Yeah, my first war was in 1982 in Lebanon, where Israel attacked and went straight in all the way up to the north of Lebanon, almost reaching Damascus on the Syrian side. And I remember going in for like 90 days.
90 days?
That was short.
Once you go
There are
in, there's
people who
no
were
way
there
out.
for years. Some soldiers and people were called in and served there for 2 years, 3 years. I was there for 9. I was already a reserve. I had children at home. I was already past my military service. I remember going in with an Israeli poet, Yonatan Geffen, my friend, who's very, very left. We're all very left, and he was the Lenny Bruce of Israel, still is, and so we would do our show. With us was another guitarist, Yuda Eder, who's a rock and roll guitarist, and me and my Spanish guitar, and we do our act, and it was rough. It was bad. It was talk about smell of napalm in the morning. You know, this is not a movie. This is a line from real life, and you smell it, and you feel it, and you see the horrors of war, and everybody's in it. You see civilians, you see the other army that you're fighting, and everybody's human, and it's so sad. And you what I realized then, I went into what's called a post-trauma, like shell-shocked.
Stress disorder?
Yeah, and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
I lived with that for God knows how many years, from 1982 to 2006.
Oh
only
my
in the
God,
second
really?
Lebanon, only the second
That's
Lebanon
horrible,
war,
man.
When I went into the war and the first bomb fell on us, did everything come to life? Like I was able to put it, like bury it, you know, that first experience of 90 days in the front lines. I was able to bury it. But when the second war that I was thrown into came about, and I went in, and an actual bomb fell right near us, and it all, like my insides just let go. And then I realized I'm holding back something that's really serious. But thank God I was already in some kind of a therapy, so I was able to talk about it. bring it
Maybe
out.
that's how you also like focus on guitar so much. Maybe that's
You don't
how-
understand. It's unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, you focus, like, they can shoot you, they ain't gonna touch you.
Right.
You're like you become a martial artist. You
Yeah.
become a Rambo.
Yeah.
They
Guitar ninja.
they shoot at you, and you just ain't gonna get you. I remember one night I was playing. It's funny. I don't know who's gonna listen to this, but I remember one night I was playing
Hopefully everyone.
in '82, and I was playing. We're playing in this kibbutz up in the north, and we were in Israel, and a lot of rockets were flying, and that's before they went into Lebanon. Bombs that's called Katyusha rockets, that they shoot 8 at a time, and when you're shooting multiples, it could be 30, 40, 50 rockets at the same time. You only hear them when they pass you. You hear a whistle. You hear it. It's like chill. It chills your blood. But when you hear it, you know it's already passed. You don't hear them coming. So in the night, you don't hear it coming. So I remember I'm playing for these in the kibbutz, and I came to give a good time to some guys who were in the bomb shelters. But they decided to brave it out, and we'll sit out on the grass. So we sit on the grass, and we play all night. We're having vodka, we're drinking, we're having a great time, screaming our hearts out, like maybe a group of 30 people. And every time we hear a chilling sound of a rocket there, I get up to run, and this guy puts me down. He says, keep playing, it's already past us.
That's funny.
And I'm thinking, okay. And he says, every bullet has a name. Yours is not on these. Now, this guy's a very well-known fighter. He's like a Purple Heart in Israel. You know, really, very well. Like, I know all his stories, or some of them. Some I will never know. Big guy, huge. And every time I'm like, sit down, keep playing. That's what you're here for. And I'm playing, and I think, okay. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, he says, all right, guys, let's go to sleep. Okay. We get up. We get into the bomb shelter. We're not counting 3. Like, walk in 1, 2, a huge explosion.
Right. Right where you were?
We were looking exactly where we were.
Jeez.
Like a crater. And this guy's house went down. He had 3,000 records, everything demolished. Like, woo! I look at him and says, that one had your name on it.
Wow. That's crazy.
It chills me even now when I think of it. But, we did it. And the next night, I remember we went to some other town, Kiryat Shmona, and I was playing. I wasn't playing, we were ordering a pizza. And suddenly I hear that thing, the bombs. And everybody's running. And I'm just eating. I learned.
The whistle is a good sign.
The bomb with my name already went off. I learned it ain't coming for me. But it went down like 150 yards, not so far.
That's funny.
So we're just eating and listening. Oh, another bomb. You become nonchalant. You just walk in the face of death. You say, it ain't me.
There's got to be something liberating about being that, I want to say badass, like just of overcoming that kind of proximity to death, or like there's something about that must feel liberating, I would imagine.
I don't know about liberating. We're artists, so the way we see life, I think, is a little bit through a prism of another way of looking at everything. We translate things in a completely different way.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
We're creative in every level.
Yeah.
You never stop being creative, and other people are more pragmatic. It's like, oh, a bomb went off. We got to fix it up. Now we got to redo that. And I'm thinking, we'll fix, but what about the soul? What about the heart? What about the people? Which is the same reason why I insist on working on projects which are to educate for coexistence and for conflict resolution. Takes me exactly the opposite way.
Yeah.
Takes me, where's the compassion? What about the other side? We're all fighting, but we got to live here,
What keeps coming up for me as I'm listening to you is Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's wrote this book called You Are the Placebo, but it's all about sort of self-healing and manifesting and this kind of thing. It's real fascinating, interesting stuff. You can see his lectures on YouTube and all that stuff. It's really worth checking out. Mm-hmm. But he has this area where he talks about the different levels of motivation and the power. There's power in the different levels of motivation, and the most powerful form of motivation is purpose-driven motivation. And that sounds like what you are angling your life out of entirely. And and the other, then there's like the sort of even like, there's purpose-driven motivation is at the apex, and there's like the weakest one is like money-driven motivation. And it's not judging, it's just like levels of it. But you seem to have your whole life based on purpose-driven motivation.
Totally. I don't think otherwise I'd continue doing what I'm doing.
Nobody would do what you've described doing if they weren't purpose-driven. Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you're doing. I think the important thing in life is to give people that purpose.
Help them discover their own purpose. That's a huge purpose. That's the purpose.
That's the purpose,
That's exactly what this guy doesn't want you to do.
I think he reminds you that you got to do it. Right. Because otherwise you're going to end up like him.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think these things are negative. The negatives have to create the positive.
That's true. So, the yin and the yang or whatever.
Totally. I mean, that's what walls are about. If you're gonna keep running straight, you're gonna run straight into a wall.
Yeah.
Don't you think you should stop? Maybe walk around, find the door.
Yeah.
This is what they're for. It's like find the form in which you can, and in the world that you live.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a project that I've been working on in the last 2 years. It's and it comes about as a result of my other work. Things as a process in life. So
one leads to the next, to the
so
next.
the ultimate project, we're talking about the purpose, is called 1 Million Guitars.
That's what I was going to ask you
Yeah.
about. That's incredible.
It's a beautiful project that just came about, not coincidentally at all, but as I guess a way of the next level. As I've been working for the past 20 years, since 1999, been working in East Jerusalem, which is the Palestinian part of Jerusalem, and I met there an incredible group of musicians. The most prominent Palestinian musicians who invented the modern Palestinian music. Because until now, until recently, music in the Arab world was mostly passed on from one generation to the next and written in a more classical way, a traditional way. They have reached out to the more modern way of storytelling and talking about issues that are hurting them now or that they aspire to live, to tell. Anyway, their name is Sabrin. That's the group. So we met and we become really close friends. The result of which is that they have a recording studio in East Jerusalem, and I decided to start bringing my recording projects to that studio. It's an area that Israelis are reluctant to spend time in, even though East Jerusalem was annexed by the Israeli government.
And that's what you were talking about on your TED Talk too, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that whole.
I was trying to explain it a little bit.
Yeah, you explained it. Yeah, the wives.
The
wives gave you problems.
It's like there's always a reason why people need to have an excuse why they're not going to go to the front line or they're not going to go to an area which to them seems dangerous. They don't want to admit that they're afraid.
I'd come with you to the front line, but
yeah, listen, my wife.
But
it's my wife. It's my wife.
Fucking hysterical, dude. Anyway.
Well, I didn't think it was hysterical when I heard it because I realized there was a real problem. I really have to deal with that, meaning it. And it's the kids and it's my mother-in-law. Just bring the whole family. So I did. They brought the whole families and I took an entire hotel.
You had to take out a hotel. That's insane.
Yes, it's beautiful. But we also fed everybody.
How do you afford that?
Who does? When you look at the bills,
80%
of my bills are food and probably hotel rooms. But the 20%, which is just like an iceberg, that's what you get to see. That's the music.
Yeah.
The music and the film. So, but as a result of we're talking about East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem.
Right.
This album I made, which I brought Steve Earle to produce.
Which is phenomenal that he was like, okay, I'll come produce it.
Totally.
Before you even had a budget. That's great.
I didn't even know if I'll have a budget. I'm thinking, okay, he's on my
that's
A
wild.
list.
And that's like a sort of further manifestation also thanks to Danny Goldberg introducing you to Steve Earle.
He's the one who brought it up. He said, why didn't you call Steve? I said, but he probably wouldn't. He's probably too radical. He would like take it the wrong way, like boycott it, if anything.
Right.
And he says, well, call him.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
That's one way to find out.
And it's
and not only did he come and offer himself, he fell into it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And as I have seen him say before, and in the last few years, since then, he says one of the most meaningful experiences he's ever had. So I'm so happy that it gave him something, but it gave us the ability. It gave me the ability to put the project together with somebody who was objective and wasn't like me, all day long in the stories and the difficulties and the differences between the Israelis and Palestinians, having to constantly be the negotiator with myself.
Yeah.
He was the one there, and because he didn't think there was any need for negotiation, you play the guitar, you play the bass, you can do this, just do it. Yeah, but he's Palestinian. He's not. I don't understand what you're talking about. Can you play?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go, run.
That's brilliant.
That's it.
That's brilliant.
No questions asked.
Bringing the
it's just practical.
Unification. I don't know.
It's just being practical.
Yeah.
And so we created this beautiful project. And during the recordings in East Jerusalem, which took 8 days, and I allotted 8 days for it. I didn't want it to be 3 weeks. It would be crazy. So I went and I brought Israeli and Palestinian chefs to cook for every night, a feast, like a banquet, and we were 40 people on board, but I allowed for 60 people to be invited. Everybody could invite their friends, Palestinians, Israelis, come and enjoy with us a night's meal after a day's work in the studio. And it's all in the studio, which looks almost like the barn where Jesus was born in Bethlehem. It looks like a stable. It doesn't look like us. It's not a West End,
not Manhattan
London
Beach.
West End, Abbey Road or
Right.
Manhattan Beach in New York City. But it's beautiful, the most beautiful location and studio and setting. And
Was it Pro Tools or what would you guys record on?
no tools.
No tools.
I mean, you had to record on something.
There was maybe it was a Cubase, I think.
Okay.
But the,
No
Come on, there had to be some recording device.
no,
They had a
No.
cassette
They have a
recorder.
Just singing straight to God.
As a matter of
It's
fact-
like, God's the only one that's
Hey,
heard the
This is
record.
Jerusalem.
That's the place to do it if you're gonna go
This
straight
is-
to God.
yeah,
The
man,
shortest route.
totally.
Oh,
That's why nobody heard it. Only God.
Only God, and he's supposed to sing it to everybody else.
No, he is. But what happened is that, and as a matter of fact, as we speak, I'm trying to raise money to update the studio because we need to keep the studio
Interesting.
going. So I'm going around seeing who, looking for donations and people who are interested in seeing this
Danny
manifest itself.
Goldberg.
Danny Goldberg.
Come on,
Yeah,
Danny.
I didn't call him.
Chip in.
So, but what we did on those recordings is besides what the normal equipment was there, I rented first like Neves and all stuff, a lot of stuff into the
I
studio.
want to ask how you're affording all this, but I don't
Because
wanna-
I do fundraising.
Oh,
I
you
go-
fundraise.
always.
Oh, so it's like with Pledge Music or something?
No.
like that?
Actually, phone calls.
Phone calls. Huh.
Yeah, I go to people who I think would be interested and like to see this kind of a project. I've done a Kickstarter. I was the first actual
Yeah.
real artist to do a Kickstarter project.
Interesting.
So many years ago, 2010.
Which is just
But,
yesterday.
yesterday.
So,
but
so
no, so I'm
so
talking
you're-
about the
you're-
million guitars.
yeah, you fund. Oh, okay.
So what
Yeah.
happens is that we do. I'm filming this thing, the 8 days in the studio, and at late at night when everybody's gone, the cameramen are gone, the musicians have eaten, everybody's had a great time. It's midnight. I asked. There's a Palestinian rapper. His name is Muhammad Mughrabi, and he has a band called G-Town. And they live in a refugee camp, which is in East Jerusalem. It's called Shuafat Refugee Camp. And I asked him, maybe we can go. It's like midnight. I'm still up, I'll be. I don't have to be in the studio before 11 in the morning. Can we go visit the camp? He said, sure. He'd love that. And he beams like, you're interested in coming visiting my place? I said, sure. So we go to this refugee camp, and I go 2 or 3 times during the actual sessions at night. And we also film it. And at one of those times, there's a guy in the camp who was a political prisoner, Palestinian prisoner, and yet maintains some kind of a philosophy of coexistence and believes that animosities have to come to an end at some point. And he asked me if I'd be interested in coming sometime after I'm done with the project and meeting with the young kids in the camp. I said, I'd love to. So you got to understand, this camp can hold 5,000 to 10,000 people, but it holds 80,000 people. So needless to say, it's crammed, and it's unsanitary, and it's horrible living conditions. So I'm extremely curious in meeting these kids. So this is January, so okay, April come, it'll be warmer, I'll come. And I come and meet the first kids, 50 kids, and they prepare a beautiful welcome ceremony for me. They sing for me, they dance for me. These are kids from 5 to 15-year-olds. And I decided to take on this group and create workshops for them to keep them off the streets. And I'm given this grounds, this building, which is owned by the PLO, the Palestinian Authority, and we're allowed to use that as a place of meeting. And we come every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, once a month. I organize these meetings, and we start playing. And this is part of the film. Now, I put the film out, East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem. It's on Netflix. A lot of people get to see it. I don't know who they are. Everywhere I go, I get to meet a few people who, have happened to stumble on the film, see it, and it touched them. And I'm here in New York City, and during a Women's March in 2017, right when Trump took office, the global Women's March, but we
Right.
did New York City. It everybody's screaming and doing things. Suddenly some guy calls me and calls out from the crowd and says, Broza, yeah, did you start giving guitars out to the kids? I don't know what he's talking about. I said, giving guitars out. Anyway, before I know it, he gets closer. He says, look, I saw your film. You should give guitars out to the kids. I said, nice idea, but how would I do that? I said, I don't know, let's talk. You probably know how to do it. And we start talking, and we create a foundation. And he says, let's call it 1 million guitars. So I design a guitar, and I raise money for it, and I start manufacturing. And I'm then brought to Viacom and Paramount, who buy the first 1,000 guitars, and they say, we'll connect you with organizations that are teaching, but they don't have instruments around the country. And before I know it, I'm in 3,300 schools in the country, in 43 states in the United States.
That's incredible.
And we're giving out guitars.
I love the way the guy said too, like as a matter of fact, have you started doing this yet? Like
He sees me giving a workshop to the kids, and he thinks, don't do that. Give them guitars.
I love that, and I just want to ask, like, how are you raising the money to do this? Just because, like, for those of us that also want to like follow in your footsteps, like,
well,
how do we do it?
Well, you gotta.
Like, who do you call?
Who manifest it?
Yeah, who do you call?
Everybody knows. You know, we all know people.
We all know people,
and we have to. First of all, as
most of those people won't take my calls anymore, though.
What have you done?
I'm just kidding.
What have you done?
I'm just joking.
No.
But you went straight to Viacom and Paramount. Those are big names.
Well, no, but that's not my connection. I have a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend, and
it is true though. Like, you start something, and then the way it evolves and develops is wild, because it can never, like, in your mind when you start something, it can never just all of a sudden be the flower that it's going to become.
It's a long process.
It takes a long process, but it's amazing to
so
watch.
I remember my wife, who's been with me for a long time now. When I was
and
doing
your wife's name is what?
Neely Lotan,
and she's the
fashion amazing fashion designer, based in New York City.
Shout out to Neely.
Yeah, shout out to Neely.
So cool.
Yeah.
But she I remember every time I have a new project, like the Townes project, or the Kickstarter project, or the East Jerusalem project. Now it's the Million Guitars project. This is all that's on my mind.
Right.
Like, we sit in a dinner, we have a conversation with a bunch of friends, everybody's happy. Suddenly I say, hey, I got this project. Everybody puts their forks down. And now they got to listen to my 5-minute pitch.
It's like neurolinguistics programming. It's like focusing your mental energy.
It becomes your mantra.
It's like, if you can do that, you can manifest anything. And
so you do it. You don't do it obsessively.
Yeah.
You do it with passion.
Yeah.
Because this is happening. And I can pull out of the phone and show you photographs of kids in Arizona, kids in Wisconsin, kids in the Bronx holding these guitars. You tell me if that doesn't bring a smile to your face.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Seeing that kid who has nothing, underprivileged kids, suddenly holding guitars that they will own if they come to classes for 2 years. They will own the guitar forever.
Yeah.
So that gives a child a purpose. That goes back to our conversation.
Purpose-driven motivation.
Absolutely.
For the people that don't, like, just to explain, if the kid sticks with the program, they get to keep the guitar
for 2 years,
which is amazing too. Because
he's fourth grader.
And
because
the 2 years
you're
are free.
Because also then the kid also feels like they haven't been given a handout; they've earned something, which is another huge boost to their self-esteem.
Boost and achievement, and they own it.
They've achieved something, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
That you're providing that opportunity for them.
Anything special about these guitars?
Yeah, the guitars are. I wish I should have brought one. The guitar the neck is made. It looks exactly like my guitar.
I love that guitar, by the way.
This is a top-notch guitar, though, which I kill every day. But it's a beautiful grand classical, Spanish handmade. But I copied this guitar, and we also got some tips from the guitar luthier who built it, who's dead now, but he built this one on some of the structure inside, and we have a manufacturer in China who got our specifications, and the neck, which on this guitar is very wide, I made narrower, so it's easy for eight-year-olds to hold the guitar, and that's it. That's the special thing is the neck and the durability of the guitar. Unlike cheap guitars, which get to break really quickly, this one is made sustainable, so it can actually withstand if it falls. It won't break so easily, and at last. This is a special one. But
What's the deal with that one with the pick guard thing, like the weird cutout thing?
I started with a small pick guard.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I'm playing, and suddenly, even through the pick guard, I have a hole now. But I started seeing that I'm playing beyond the pick guard. So I went to a guy, Roger Sadowski, builds guitars, and he said, "Look, I'm going to Germany. I'll find you a pick guard, and I'll create one for you." And then he said, "Bring me the guitar." Brought him the guitar, and he started making these pick guards for me. But then I realized that I started playing here. So I'm using the guitar because I use very percussive sounds on the guitar. So I'll play, play in the. Whereas and then I go.
Yeah, play some. Play a little.
Play though.
Yeah, why not?
Play some of your instrumental stuff.
Instrumental. Whoa. Well, instrumental is going to be hard for this.
I just forget I said that. Just point the mic down just a little bit.
Yeah, no. Same face in the Gaza is the same face I see out in California. Same face in Jericho is the same face I see down in Mexico. Same face in Tel Aviv is the same face I see out in New Jersey. So many places all share the same faces. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom. Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom. Salam. Same face in the Haifa is the same face out in Nevada. Same face in the blues is the same face out in New Orleans, singing the blues. Same face in London town. Same face out in Kingston town. So many places all share the same faces. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Feet in the sand, eyes in the sky, ears to the wall, say wondering if change ever gonna come at all. Spread a little love in the morning, spread a little love in the evening, spread a little love before you put your head down. Maybe when you wake up, the world will be a better place. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Whoa, 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 ding, 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 ding.
So beautiful.
That I wrote with Wyclef Jean, actually.
Oh man, I can hear that.
How did you involve him?
Well, Wyclef heard me play somewhere and decided he wanted me to come and record with him. So I'd come to his studios and we'd record. He'd record all these things, all these sounds.
How do you
and
do
then
that? What's that?
Just with my nails.
Dude, you're a powerhouse, man. Just being around that intensity coming at you.
Just trying to avoid the bullets.
You are the bull. You've become the bullets.
That's right.
So when you tour, is that just your only guitar that you take, or do you take a backup?
One guitar.
No backup.
It's a problem because sometimes something can happen.
That's what I'm asking about.
I don't know.
But you just want to do the one guitar.
I don't want to carry more than that.
I don't either. I want to be brave enough to just take one guitar.
So why don't
Fuck it. That's why I'm getting lessons here. There was another question I had for you last night, and it's driving me nuts.
Bring the mic a little closer, David.
That's why I was looking at the notes.
But that guitar looks beat up.
No, it looks awesome. Actually.
Well, it's a beautiful guitar.
Well, the Willie Nelson thing too. It's like got that big hole in it.
Yeah.
You know, and you like the nylon string. Do you? The other trippy part about that is to change a nylon string in the middle of a concert.
That doesn't happen much.
Yeah, but I mean that's actually time consuming.
No, it
takes 5 seconds. You're
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Maybe.
Okay.
But it's funny because I change
much.
every day.
That's fine.
I change, and every show I change.
You change all the strings every day?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Sometimes I change only the three lower ones, but most of the time I change
lower ones.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
Well, because these are wound by the wound strings. That's nylon, but wound by some kind of metal, by wire, and so they tend to break faster, especially the D one. These can last longer, but I do change them, and it's funny. There are times when I do 3 or 4 shows a night. So I remember there was one I insisted on changing the strings, but I had to get from one show to the next with a helicopter, and it was nighttime, and there was definitely no space, no light in the helicopter, and no space, and I had to do it basically like with my eyes closed, like literally.
In a
get them in, change the strings. But during the 45-minute flight, until we got to the
parachute into the show and with your fucking guitar. I mean, you just need a cape, dude.
That's unreal.
You only use nylon, right? Is that the Spanish guitar thing?
Well, the Spanish guitar is nylon string. Okay. Then American guitar is a steel string, country stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you have electric guitars. But this is the Spanish guitar, which brings me to the album I'm recording now is an all-instrumental album.
Spanish instrumental?
I've never done that before.
Just instrumental, whatever.
I never thought of myself as a guitarist. I'm an accompanist. But then this record label...
What do you mean accompanist?
I accompany myself, right?
Oh,
I don't play
Yeah, but you're like a badass guitar player. I mean, you can see that, right? I mean, dude,
But nobody's ever hired me as a guitar.
It's like what Charles Bukowski says. It's not that I'm that good. It's that everybody else is so bad.
No, I wouldn't say that. Charles
Bukowski was a punk. But I'm saying, come on, man. You've seen other guitar players. Not everybody's jamming on guitar.
But not everybody wants to be not everybody needs that kind of
excellence. And Paco is a big inspiration for you, right?
Paco is an inspiration. I can't even believe what an incredible guitarist this guy was.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a million years, not one in a million, once in a million years somebody like that appears. He transformed the way the Spanish guitar gets played.
Right.
And
how so?
First of all, his positioning physically. I don't play like this.
What's his full name?
I play like this. Paco de Lucia.
Yeah. Paco de Lucia.
I play like this, which is really like 13th century, whatever, guitar player.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, he's very 13th century, this guy. I was sitting here thinking that the whole time.
You have to. No, somebody wrote that. Somebody wrote that about me once.
I was really on the 13th century.
Somebody wrote that about me. I'm thinking, I don't think there were guitars at the 13th century, but some musicologist once wrote about my 13th century, so I adopted that. Fine, 13th century. But it's really how the flamenco used to play, and now they play cross-legged, and they sit in a different way. That's one thing. Uh-huh. Then his harmonic progressions were not flamenco, like not a traditional flamenco. Mm-hmm. he opened the mind of many, and then he started, and then when he did Night in San Francisco with McLaughlin and with Al Di Meola.
Meola, Race with the Devil on the Spanish Highway.
Totally. I actually played with Di Meola for a few months.
I used to love him when I was a kid.
Yeah, he couldn't stand the fact that I use a capo.
Really?
So I use a capo when I play, and I use this capo. So
why? What did he?
Because a few things. One
he
is
thought it was cheating.
Beyond cheating. It's like because we'd play. I do this right in the middle. I'm changing zone.
Wait a minute. Dude, you got to show that. Oh, you got a camera on that.
No,
do that again. Nobody does that. He's like moving the capo.
Yeah,
as
so he would
plays.
say, "You're not allowed. You can't do that." I said, "What do you mean I can't do that?" So you're not even supposed to play with a capo.
I didn't even see you move it. What do you mean you move it?
Dude, that's rad.
I just moved.
Dude, do that again.
So I play like that, and with my bands, there was no.
I'm with Al on this one. You're not allowed to do that. Fuck that, dude. That's not
my argument. My argument was with Al that he doesn't sing. Okay.
Yeah. That's funny, man. So
Yeah.
you played with him, huh?
Is that because that's a capo that allows to do that seamlessly?
Of course, but it doesn't really. It's not meant to.
Right.
It's not meant to.
You
But
just
I had to, because I'm not good in modulating. I just tell me what more or less key, because I wouldn't even know what you're talking about. But it's a key of G, okay, and you got to go up to A. I'll do it up to.
Yeah.
Here's like, for example, this.
Wow.
It's not with modulating, but this is how do you do הלו, האם את מאושרת? אני שומע בקולך שאת עצובה ונסערת. הלו, אני מקשיב למתק שפתייך, מרגיש את פעימותייך, ואני זורם עד אלייך. ירח עולה והכל כאן מואר, והיופי הזה מתוק ואכזר, ממרומי מיטתי העיר פרוסה לרגליים, זו תהיה ממלכתך אם תבואי אליי. Anyway, this is just a little bit of a piece.
Who wrote that?
I wrote that. I wrote the lyrics too in this one. I did one album where I did the lyrics and the music. But I mix a lot of the flamenco and the blues and the rock and my playing. It's not like, which is, at the time when I came here to the States, was really hard to pigeonhole me as what do I do? Because I'm not the average rock and roll artist or pop artist. So it was really hard to, I had to find a record company. At the time, the guy who signed me was Bruce Lundvall. Do you remember? Bruce?
No.
Bruce Lundvall was one of the greatest executives. He was the president of Columbia for a while. The last thing he did was Norah Jones. He signed Norah Jones. But he had an affinity for poetry. And when he heard that I was doing music to American poets, he wanted to hear it.
Right.
And when I played it in the office, he already knew the lyrics. He was just an incredible guy. And so he signed me onto his label. It was Manhattan Records and then EMI.
Yeah.
And it was my way of entering the United States, the market here, but the market here wasn't quite open yet to artists that sang lyrics like I do, and my melodies were a little strange. So
Can you play one of those?
of the American poets. That's an Elizabeth Bishop poem. You know Elizabeth Bishop?
No.
She was laureate poet in the 70s. American.
Oh, okay. I think
Probably
I've
one of the
heard
most
the
influential
name.
poets ever. And this is based on her poem called One Art. I call it The Art of Losing. The art of losing isn't too hard to master. So many things seem filled with intent to be lost. Oh, the art of losing isn't too hard to master. Their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day. Accept the fluster of lost door keys. Accept the hour badly spent. Lose something faster and farther. Lose a day's content. Lose a year's lament. Oh, the art of losing isn't too hard to master. So many things seem filled with intent to be lost. Oh, the art of losing isn't too hard to master. Their loss is no disaster. Lose something deep in your heart. A house, a city, a continent, some realms, 2 rivers, names of places you went. Lose ground where your feet once stood firm. Lose what falls from the sky. Lose the prayers in reply. Oh, the art of losing isn't too hard to master. So many things seem filled with intent to be lost. Oh, the art of losing ain't too hard to master. Their loss is no disaster. Even losing you, I shan't deny. It's evident the art of losing isn't too hard to master. Though we may look, sing it, look like disaster. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. Oh, the art of losing isn't too hard to master. So many things seem filled with intent to be lost. Oh, the art of losing isn't too hard to master. Their loss is no disaster. Oh, no, 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 their loss is no disaster. Oh, no, no, no.
Man. You're great, man.
That's Elizabeth Bishop.
That's beautiful.
Isn't she great?
Thank you. Oh, you're great.
Oh, thank you.
Man.
It's great talking to you.
Yeah,
Good
you
meeting
too.
Can you
Too
just
bad you didn't bring your guitar.
Can you just elaborate just a little bit about the instrumental album you're
Yeah,
making now, since
sure.
that's the next thing you're doing?
So I met
And then we can wrap it up.
yeah. So about a couple of years ago, I got a phone call from this guy, Steve Greenberg, who basically distributes my albums here. And he's got a company called S-Curve, and it's now owned by BMG Records. And he said, do I have any instrumental pieces? Because he loves my guitar playing, and he thinks I should have an instrumental album. And I said, I don't. So I asked him what's the deal? He said, well, I have some money, and I thought it would be a great idea to have your album. And I'd love to do an instrumental album. He's never done one before.
Yeah, because you're on that level of like Paco and Demiola and all those guys.
I wish, but...
No, I think you are.
Thank you. No, but of course I look up at them. But he loved what I do, and especially on stage when I'm in between songs and I play a lot, I just doodle.
I gotta say, his shows are like 3 hours long.
Yeah,
every night.
I'm a fan now, man.
Oh,
it's
sweet.
like, yeah, I can't wait till. When's your next show?
My next show
New
is
York.
actually at a very, very, very special venue at the Rubin Museum. You know?
I've played that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Done a
like
couple
all
Make it
acoustic.
so.
So I'm
Make
coming
it
with my.
so,
I
yeah.
have a Cuban trio.
Oh,
I play
okay.
with, and
That's
I'm bringing.
great.
It's beautiful. So anyway,
When is that show?
that's on September 6th.
Okay.
Friday.
This podcast will be out by then.
September
so
6th,
anyone
Rubin
who wants to
Museum.
see
Yeah.
David.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
After that, I do my Christmas. I have a David Broza Not Exactly Christmas show on Christmas Eves
Oh, that's
for
great.
25 years or so. But that's
Where,
later.
where's that at?
This year, actually, we're doing it before Christmas because the date didn't work, and I can't remember the name.
That's
of
fine.
it.
It's not exactly Christmas. So.
Exactly. You can look up at davidbroza.net.
DavidBroza.net.
Anyway, so the guy said, I said, I don't have any instrumental pieces. He said, but let me try and put something together. I didn't realize how difficult it is to write instrumental pieces compared to songs for me. And so about a year later, I called him. I said, look, I got...
Why? Because it's hard to like incorporate a melody and,
I mean, to
and
write,
stuff
like
with-
you know, I have a... just to write... And just to get that part, I'd have to sit
Dude.
for hours
Yeah.
just to figure it out. And in songs, it's a lot more straightforward to me.
Okay.
So I called him a year later. I said, look, I got a bunch of pieces. He said, I don't have the money. I spent it. I said, okay, but let's do it.
Wait, he said he ran.
He
out
had a
of the money?
budget, and he didn't keep it. Of course, I mean, a year to write an
Again,
album.
a
is
year
ridic-
went by.
A year went by.
A year went by.
That's
okay.
that's the short story.
Yeah.
So, and then another year goes by,
Mm-hmm.
and he and I keep on talking. He says, let's do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so finally, about 4 months ago, I had this idea to call a producer that I'd worked with before, who produced Paco de Lucia and Buica. And
Who's that?
Buica is an amazing musician.
No, I
from
mean,
Spain.
who's the producer?
Oh, the producer is Javier Limon. Javier Limon.
Limon.
Limon, like lemon.
Oh, lemon. Limon.
Amazing guy. Amazing. He actually teaches in Berkeley School of Music now for
Wow.
for quite a few years. And I wrote him a text, said, would you be interested? I have this idea. He calls me up immediately, and I tell him what the deal is. And it's going to be BMG Records want an instrumental. And he says, I haven't done anything since Paco. Let's do it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting all my gear together. I put 12 pieces together, 12 pieces of music. And a month ago, I went to Spain. We spent a week in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And we recorded this album and filmed it. And I said, now I realized
That's smart that you film everything.
Yeah, but also in the film has to have a story.
Mhm.
East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem had a story of the coming
Right.
together of Israelis and Palestinians.
The
in
wives.
and the wives. They didn't come. They did come. So and with the Spain, we suddenly came to mind that Spaniards don't understand that the guitar is a Spanish guitar. The Spanish guitar, and I think it's the greatest contribution that Spain has made to the world.
To the world.
So, I mean, they've obviously discovered America, and they have paella and jamón and chorizo, but I think...
The guitar,
the story of the album will be actually the story of the Spanish guitar.
That's great.
And, we'll be done by...
What's the album called?
Guitar Confessions.
Uh,
That's the work title, we'll see.
yeah. What did you just say that... the story of the Spanish guitar.
Yeah, the Spanish guitar.
I like the story of the Spanish guitar.
As a title?
Yeah.
Maybe? It's right now we have a work title, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But what is the story of the Spanish guitar? I know nothing about guitars. How far back does the Spanish guitar
Well,
go?
Spanish guitar actually it starts already with the influence of Arab music, the oud and the lute.
Mm-hmm.
But it only had 4 strings. And then I think about 300 or 400 years ago, the Spaniards added a 5th string. And I think about 200 years ago, they added the 6th string. I'm very general right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it became the instrument of the parlor. You know, you'd have
People
the
come
high society
over.
would have a party, then they
Yeah.
would have a musician come and sing, and they would accompany himself on guitar rather than a cembalo
So the
or
first
quartet.
singer-songwriters were about 300 years ago or 200 years
Something like
ago?
that, probably.
Interesting.
Although troubadours were in the 11th century already,
Yeah.
and Spanish guitars were 13th century.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, you got to tell your story. You know you're telling a good one. The rest doesn't matter.
Right.
Truth is what you think it is.
Yeah. And perception is
That's
everything.
the truth, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you lots of truths that I have, but it'll be for another podcast.
Part
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, and then there's one other thing I wanted to ask you real quick before this. Yeah, this could go on forever.
Yeah, it's,
Are we
we've
on?
been
I don't know
going
how
for,
long.
for an hour 45.
We
Oh,
should
God.
do part 2 sometime. But your whole sort of interview series about like, do you think a song can actually change the
Well, this is another
change
film.
the
You
world?
gotta mention that. That's
Le-
fascinating.
That's fascinating.
So
yeah.
I decided to make a film.
And then I want you to answer that
Another film.
question.
I wouldn't know. I'm in the process. So what I'm doing is
You don't know if a song can
I'm-
actually change the world?
I don't know about the world, but my question to artists as
Yeah.
well as you is: does a song play a role in social change, political change, wherever you are? Can it play a role?
Yeah, I have an easy answer to that.
What is your
which
answer?
Yeah, of course. Because, I mean, just even when I was a kid, like, a song could help me survive. And so therefore...
Change your world.
Oh, yeah, well,
I
it
agree.
made my world possible, you know. It definitely helped me survive. So from survival comes everything. So,
Right, and you can affect your immediate area, and that's already
yeah,
social change.
Of course, yeah.
I agree with that. You know, I've asked some, and some said, "Forget about it. It's just."
See,
And I've had,
I
but
think-
then, but this artist I spoke with in Spain, serious artists,
yeah.
they had a lot to say, and they thought it maybe it doesn't, maybe it's not the epitome of change, but it is the general notion of what a song can bring to a manifestation or to a general idea at a time when people are at a loss. Suddenly, a song can uplift your mood.
Inspiration.
And absolutely.
We inspire each other. We
Absolutely.
become a light to each other. And then there's a whole community of the dark side on this plane as well that are out to like antagonize and subvert.
Right.
And that would be like, you know, the troops for this guy again. You
He
know,
can't stand those songs.
and he, you know, and I'm of the I'm not on his team.
That's right.
And so like
He reminds you that you're not.
yeah, exactly. You know, I like to keep him in his place. You know, but yeah. So we you know we give each other all like that's what we're doing. That's what
That's
we're,
right.
we're warriors for the light. You know.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
So
We're the bullets
it's a good.
in the
It's
gun
for
of
me.
the
It's an
light.
exercise of talking to people who are enlightened artists and see how they feel about it, and hopefully that can bring light onto the importance.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, in many cultures and governments today, the one thing the greatest threat is intellectuality. And
I think the
originality.
biggest threat is
I'm talking to
is
leaders, to dictators,
Oh.
and to,
Well,
and
is-
to closed societies.
people have a war against empathy and a war against love. If there's a conspiracy, it's a conspiracy to eliminate empathy and eliminate
In order
love.
to control.
In order to control.
Correct. So we
And
have
love
to
and empathy makes us freedom fighters.
True. And so I have to promote songs. I have to promote
Yeah.
singers. I have to promote the creative side of one's heart, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what we give guitars to little kids. Let them be in touch with themselves and
Yeah.
find,
No, you are epic, man.
Oh.
You are like, you're killing it. Like, you are like, I mean, come on, dude. You're so inspiring.
Thank you. Well, it's inspiring to be here. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
you're inspiring me very much, and I hope, everybody who hears this, I
Yeah, me
mean,
too. I hope they turn to more conversations because there's other guys on these podcasts that I want to hear. So
yeah.
Where can people follow you, David?
Yeah, let's give
Online.
everybody your info
Well,
and how to
online,
how to help your projects as
oh,
well.
thanks. Well, I'm davidbroza.net. I'm David Broza1 on Instagram
Okay.
and David Broza on Facebook, and it's easy to write me and to.
Was David Broza taken on Instagram that you had to put the one?
Somebody took it.
Really?
Yeah, I have to be Joseph_Arthur
Oh, really?
on Instagram, which
Yeah.
is a bit of a drag.
Broza's
I'm gonna
less
follow
common
you.
of a name.
Well, then Joseph Arthur.
Joseph Arthur, right?
How many of those guys?
That's right.
It's always they're always ministers for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph Arthur is a
Yeah.
great minister.
Yeah.
For what? Minister of what? No, I'm not a minister, but
Yeah. Minister of love, hopefully.
go. There you go.
Of
Joseph Arthur is the minister of love.
yeah, trying every day of
He's the guru.
inspiration. Yeah. Helium guru.
Healing guru.
Yeah.
Joseph Arthur. You got
David Broza, it's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
David.
And I look forward to following all that you do.
Yeah, we'll cross paths again.
I know it.
Next time with a guitar in your hand.
Yeah, I'm intimidated. I need some good. I need to get into my David Broza fucking. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start practicing more.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll keep practicing.
Yeah. Okay. Great to meet
Thank
you.
you, David.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.